Hey, what is up everyone? Coach Danny here, once again in a boxing tutorial for you guys. In the two previous videos, I covered the boxing stance as well as the basic jab. Now today, we're gonna talk about the next punch, which is the right hand. So check it out. All right, so for most beginners, the right cross is gonna be the first power strike you're gonna learn. All right, so today I'm gonna try to cover as many details as possible to help you guys out with that punch in particular, commonly referred to as the cross. This punch in itself is usually thrown either on its own or sometimes following a jab, which is called a 1-2 combination, one of the most basic boxing combinations you'll ever learn. Okay, so the mechanics of throwing that punch has a lot of details in it. Okay, so number one, it's going to come from the lower body. All right, so for example, once you have your stance, watch out my feet. Once you have the basic boxing stance, now it's going to be important to really learn to rotate from the ground up. All right, so I say from the ground because the first thing touching the ground is going to be your foot. So the right foot, your rear foot, is going to have to twist like this. All right, so notice how when we first start out, it's pointing onto the ground. Sometimes our heel is slightly elevated as well, but notice how the heel is going to rotate outwards as I'm going to throw my cross. That's the number one thing, is the foot. The second thing is going to be the knee. All right, as I rotate my ankle now, my knee, my right knee is going to turn inwards. All right, so it goes from the outside in. All right, and the third thing is going to be the hip. All right, so the right hip, which is located behind me right now, of course, as I throw the leg forward, that hip is going to rotate towards the opponent or the target. Okay, so those three things are probably the most important details you want to learn to practice and try to understand how to pivot as much as possible when you're going to throw your right cross. Okay, now once we have the lower part, we have to understand to rotate the upper body as well. So once I start to rotate, look at the shoulder. The shoulder will also continue guiding towards the target as well. So notice first, I started with the lower body, moving all the way up into the upper body. And then we're gonna finalize with the cross in itself. All right, so the cross in itself will not look like a reverse jab, such as this. All right, this is my jab, but this is gonna be a reverse jab, okay? I don't use the reverse jab. It's a cross. That means it has to have power from the whole rotation of your body, okay? Now, one more detail is you want to push with your right shoulder into the punch, all right? So always lift the shoulder and join your chin as such, okay? Last but not least, rotate the hand, 2 first knuckles, just like I talked about in the left jab. Your right cross is going to have the target aimed with the 2 first knuckles, the index and middle finger, and your palm is going to face downwards as you throw that strike. Always keep your left hand in position. Let me turn sides. And the last tip is to snap your left shoulder back. A lot of times people just go forward as such, but think about bringing your lead shoulder back as such. Now when you throw your cross, boom. If you think about pushing your right shoulder, but also pulling the back shoulder, you're gonna develop a lot of power, a lot of snap in your right hand. Okay, so all at once, it looks like this. This is my, boom, and come back. Boom, and come back. All right, so the front foot doesn't move, but the rear foot will twist and come back to the starting position. That's the right cross. All right, now once we learn how to do this, it's very important to understand some of the common mistakes that I see, and I want to talk about those. Number one is people, well, obviously you won't be doing this, but I want to cover it anyways, is facing the camera. People will kind of like swing the hand back like a haymaker before they throw the punch. All right, this is like telegraphing. Anybody who's got at least a few months of experience is going to see that coming and then move out of the way and counter you. So that's not the method you want to do. You always want to throw that hand starting from the proper position right here. So once you're here, boom, comes back into the target, straight and back to position. All right, don't drop the hand before you load it up. One more thing, and don't lean in to the punch and throw it. All right, always keep your body straight. Throw it from here, and don't lean back before you throw it as well, all right? And then have a proper stance. So of course, if my feet are parallel on the same line like this, now it's hard for me to cross because I'm stepping over my lead leg, all right? I wanna have that rear foot, just like in the first video, the proper stance, rear foot aligned, so that way there, my knee is in line with my cross where my elbow is pointing with my shoulder as well. So it's very important to understand good mechanics when you throw your right hand, all right? So a lot of people just throw the cross, but they forget about the proper techniques to do it correctly, because what happens now is you're gonna be training with the bad habits for quite a while, and you're wondering why you never develop more power into your punch, and that's the reason why. If you can start with the good mechanics right from the get-go, the more you train and the more you emphasize those mechanics, the more power you're going to be able to develop. That's why you see a lot of professional boxers. They're 130, 140 pounds. My son Alex is only 100 pounds, but he hits like a ton of bricks because I've taught him good, proper positioning, good, proper mechanics, good twisting, learning to distribute his body weight, and creating a lot of leverage pushing from the ground every time he throws a punch, all right? So once you practice that and start slow and eventually build that speed, and now when you start to putting combinations together, all of this stuff lends to a lot of good technique, a lot of speed, a lot of power. Now, you can also train your cross in a more advanced fashion where if you were sparring with someone and someone threw a jab, you're gonna move out of the way and then reload that cross, right? So you just slip on the outside of the jab and then boom, that right hand comes back. Or sometimes you slip outside of the cross, but on the same token, boom, you throw your right hand, let the cross drive just over your own shoulder. So you slip on the outside of the right hand and boom, you will catch the right hand just before they hit your target. You're gonna hit theirs on the chin, right? So many tactics. Sometimes you can also just feint upstairs, kind of like just probe with that jab and then just cross to the body, all right? So of course, you're always looking at the eyes and then boom, cross to the stomach. Many ways you can throw the cross. Of course, you can make combinations as well, but if you have good mechanics, that will lead off to the next tutorial, which I'm going to cover the left hook as well as the left uppercut. If you have a good cross, this will keep you in good position and good balance to be able to throw that follow-up technique. Guys, good tutorial on the right hand. Rewind this, watch it again, look at the details, practice in front of the mirror. Next time you're training on a heavy bag or even shadow boxing, try to remember all of those details and put them into your own training sessions and watch the power of your right hand develop. All right, guys, so there you have it, the right cross. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Leave us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more tutorials just like this one. I will see you in the next boxing video.